4 in their last 5, and LeBron started to look a little fatigued despite constant reassurance that he isn't. Not only does Utah have the best record in the league, but they haven't lost a game at home since December 31st. Fox Sports NBA analyst Rick Bucher joins us now. Rick, how important is it for LeBron to snap LA's 3-game skid tonight?
Not important at all. And shout out to the producers who put out those low lights from the game the other night when J-Mac is talking about LeBron carrying the Lakers. That was spot on. J-Mac, you're the guy who's driving this ship, steering it, whatever we want to put on it. And yet you keep talking about LeBron missing AD. Can we just correct something, first of all? It's missing AD and Dennis Schroeder. Put some respect on that Dennis Schroeder name. When it comes to playmakers on this team, he is number 2 only to LeBron James. And guess what? He's going to be back Friday, or is he anticipated that he's going to be back Friday against the Blazers? That's going to make a huge difference. Is there anybody, Utah Jazz or anybody else, that the Lakers should be afraid of? Absolutely not. So that they have to stop this losing streak against the Utah Jazz because what? They have the best record in the Western Conference? I just don't see a purpose behind it. And honestly, I don't see them ending the losing streak. I fully expect that the Utah Jazz are going to make this 4 losses in a row. I think the other element here that we're not taking into account is the fact that this season is different. And it's different in that normally when we get to the All-Star break, we're 2/3 into the season. And if the Lakers were having issues and questions about Anthony Davis's health were happening at the All-Star break in a normal season, it would make sense that maybe we take the temperature and say, are they going to be okay? But we're literally at the midway point of this season. With 35-some games still to go, I just can't see a way in which a game against the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City, missing 2 of their 5 starters, is reason for alarm if they end up losing the game.
Mm. Yeah, LeVar, you made a good point yesterday about anytime you have a losing streak, you want to end it. All right, there's a sense of urgency to end it. So I'll give you that. But I'm with Rick for the most part. I mean, come on, look. I do think they'll lose tonight. If they do, it's far from the end of the world. There's no shame to losing to the Utah Jazz without your second and third best players. I mean, they're expected to lose. Right. I mean, you got 40 games left. Remember, last year in December, which was about the same place we're at right now, maybe a tad bit earlier than we are right now, they had a 4-game losing streak. Remember in the bubble, they went 3-5. And it looked at times, really through that whole regular season in the bubble, that 8-game stretch, that they couldn't hit the 3 and they couldn't defend the 3. And obviously we know how last season ended. So this is not, some litmus test for the Lakers. And to that point, even if they win tonight, you shouldn't, get out the pom-poms and let the confetti start flowing and think everything's right in Lakerland. It'll be 1 of 72. The Jazz are going to lose at some point. They've won 21 of 23, so they're going to lose another game. Maybe they'll take the Lakers lightly without AD and Dennis Schroeder. So it'd be a good win, yes. The Lakers are just 5-7 against teams with winning records. That is the worst record against such teams of the top 7 teams in the West. And obviously a lot of those games came with Anthony Davis. So it'd be a great win. It would boost the confidence of the other guys. But either way, you shouldn't make too much out of what happens tonight.
I'm learning this about you, Mr. Broussard. You are a master of selective qualifiers. Ooh. That's what you do. You're a selective qualifier, and I like it. It's a great technique, and it works very well, especially like in media. And I'm going to learn from you. We're going to talk offline, and I'm going to learn how to use selective qualifying. Slick Rick the Ruler, you used a line in one of your verses one time, and I think it went, Hey, young world, the world is yours. Hey, young world, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Jordan Clarkson, drafted in 17, 13, and 14. This is a must-win for the Lakers, and I'm going to tell you why. Because these young world babies are growing up into full-grown bulls with horns, all right? So when you have an opportunity to make an example, to set a tone, you do that. You don't say, oh, if we win, we win. But if we lose because there's so much season to be played left. No, because these guys are gunning for the crown. What's the crown? Oh, the crown. Wow. LeBron James, you know they call him King James. They are gunning for this crown. And right now, with the qualifiers that Chris Broussard just used so well and eloquently, Schroeder is out. AD is out. Well, maybe that means that you don't have your Lancelot with you, King Arthur. So you're going into battle and you're going into war, and you don't have your best swords and shields with you going into these battles. And it always matters. When you win, when you lose, even if it's 100-game seasons that you have in basketball, and it's not as short as football is, like us football players, it always matters. And when you're in a losing streak, Slicks, when you're losing, you gotta fight to stop the bleeding, even if it's just for the mental morale. You know what's the worst thing to do when you lose? Practice. When you go there and you practice and you've lost more than once, it gets hard. And then when you lose more, it gets harder. And then you know what happens? Getting better gets harder. You got to stop the bleeding. You got to stop the losing. And that's why this is a must-win for them against a really good emerging Utah team.
You guys know, I knew LeVar a little bit before the show. You know, we talked at the radio show. But I really like the cut of his jib because
thank you.
I just listened to that and I started thinking, you know, Chris and Rick are missing something here. The Lakers have played the easiest schedule in the NBA to this point. Basketball Reference says easiest schedule in the NBA. And then you start thinking, oh, you know, they have a really good record. They've played an easy schedule. AD's hurt. Oh, man, they lost to the Wiz, and now they got the Jazz. And LeBron is hearing this. You know he's watching the show. You know tomorrow everybody's fired up to watch this show because y'all are going to kill the Lakers when they lose. I am starting to side with LeVar here. I think this game really matters. Frank Vogel is not going to punt because they don't have Schroeder and Anthony Davis. They're going to go in and say, Kuzma, will you play some damn defense?
Come on, Kuzma.
KCP, will you lock up Donovan Mitchell? This game matters. This means something because you don't want to go into, as Rick, you said, second half of the season and say, you know, we're all right, we're fine, we're third in the West. But our schedule's about to get much more difficult. And, oh, yeah, AD's not coming to save us. The cavalry's not coming for another 2 or 3 weeks. This game has a lot on the line here. By the way, the spread, I know the gamblers out there, 8, starting to trend toward 8.5, maybe a 9. Lakers are big underdogs here. Broussard and Rick, I mean, listen, this game has some bearing. Don't try to pump this as, oh, it's 1 of 72. This game matters.
Okay. The Lakers are okay.
You know what? J-Mac is just having visions of being able to bring confetti in tomorrow and throw it around because the Lakers pulled off an upset. And, LeVar, you can use all of the colorful analogies you want, swords and shields and pistols and whatever. It's not going to make a difference. They're playing in Salt Lake City. They're playing against a team that's never gotten out of the second round. Good for the Utah Jazz that they're doing what they're doing, but they're going to play big. And what can the Lakers not do right now?
Play big.
They can't play big, and they can't play small because they don't have 2 key pieces to playing small. And look, I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. Every time I look at LeBron James and I go, what's wrong with LeBron James? Like maybe Father Time has finally tapped him on the shoulder. And then LeBron says, oh, no. I've got a 4th gear. I've got a 5th gear. I'm just not going to use it right now. I'm perfectly comfortable not going to my top gear in the middle of February. And so we get around to April and May and June, and suddenly we see, say it with me, we see playoff LeBron, and then suddenly realize once again he's got more in his bag than we thought he did because how he plays at various times during the regular season. I fully expect that he's not going